The middleman play. I'm sure you've heard of it. You know it's when you win a government contract and subcontract out 100% of the work. It's becoming really popular. But is it legal? Let's find out. I'm a federal contracting officer with over 10 years of experience. That's over a decade of soliciting, evaluating, and awarding federal contracts. And today we're talking about the middleman play. And you're gonna wanna stay to the end. Because if you do this wrong, it could leave your company debarred from the federal government, you paying massive fines, or even suffering jail time. Now, before I tell you what you can and can't do, let me first explain to you why the subcontracting rule exists. It was put in place in 1953 because prior to that, the federal government was awarding practically all federal contracts to large businesses, basically due to the economy of scale, which means that because these large companies had so much money and capital, they could afford to win these government contracts at a lower rate and push these small companies out of contention. And this left taxpayers pissed because all the taxpayers' dollars were going directly back to large businesses rather than the heart and soul of the American economy, the small business. And Congress said enough is enough. We had to put a stop to this. So the Small Business Set-Aside Program was established, FAR Part 19.5. And this FAR reference mandated that contracting officers set aside a certain percentage and a certain dollar amount to small businesses. But as the years passed, small businesses figured out a loophole. They would simply win these set-aside awards and have a large businesses do the work, 100% of the work, which is totally illegal. And this pass-through violates the limitation of subcontracting rule, which states that if a company is not similarly suited for a service contract, they cannot do more than 50% of the work. And for a construction contract, they cannot do more than 75 to 85% of the contract. But stay with me, because there's a key message there. Here's the concept. Similarly situated, which means that if you won a government contract that was set aside for you and your socioeconomic class, you cannot then go and subcontract out this contract to someone that's not in your socioeconomic class for more than 50% of the work. Let me put it in perspective for you. You're a woman-owned small business and you just won a government contract for a women-owned small business set aside for janitorial services. What this states is you cannot go and subcontract out this work to a large business or someone that's not a women-owned small business for more than 50% of the work. But you can, however, subcontract out 100% of the work if it's another women-owned small business, because it does not apply. Let me repeat that again. If they're not in the same socioeconomic class as the set-aside, you cannot give them more than 50% of the work. Think about it this way. You're at a movie, you're watching your favorite flick. It's an action film. It's time for the fighting scene. The director is not going to get someone that does not look like that main character. They're going to get someone that looks like, that's built like, that may even have the same mannerisms to fill in as that stunt double. That's exactly what the government is telling you to do. If you're going to have someone do the work that you won the government award for, they need to be your stunt double. They need to look like you. They need to perform like you. They need to have that same socioeconomic class. That way you remain legal. Anything else, they cannot perform more than 50% of the work, or else you can be in trouble. I now want to go over some traps that I've seen small businesses fall into. The first of which is the pass-through trap. This is when they get another company to serve as a subcontractor that's not in the same socioeconomic class to perform more than 50% of the work. Now, this does not become a real issue until they sign that invoice. Because on the invoice, it states, the above statement with attachments have been prepared from the books and records of the above named contractor in accordance with the contract and the instructions hereon. And to the best of my knowledge and belief, this is correct. This becomes an issue when they sign that federal document with a false claim, which violates the False Claims Act, which if caught, you could pay up to 3 times the amount of the contract value, the contract award amount. That's a lot of money out of your pocket. The next trap is the subcontractor trap. If the SBA finds out that you're allowing another company to do more than 50% of your work, they can make you and that company join together, become one company, and you can lose your small business status altogether, which is going to affect future awards and set-asides for you. And the last trap is the compliance trap. After each base period or option period, you have to certify with the contracting officer that you comply with the limitation of subcontracting. If you violate this, this is similar to a False Claims Act. All 3 of these traps can lead to jail time, debarment, or huge fines, things that you do not want to play with. There are 5 steps you want to take before responding to any RFP. Step 1 is to understand the performance requirements. Read the performance work statement, the statement of work, to understand what the government is asking for you. Can you perform 50% of the work? If not, do you know a company that you can subcontract to be your stunt double, who is similarly suited? Ask yourself this question before you respond to that RFP. Step 2, build your similarly suited subcontractors that you can reach out to. There's plenty of money in federal government contracts. You can win contracts, you can subcontract out. Remember, if they're similarly suited, the percentage does not matter. It's only when they're not the same socioeconomic class that was set aside for that contract that you can award more than 50% of that award to. Otherwise, they have to be similar suited. Be your stunt double. Step 3, if you have to subcontract out any of the performance, make sure you have documentation showing how much your company is performing and how much your subcontractor is performing. That way, if there's any type of audit, you can produce that paperwork showing your compliance. Step 4, once you win your contract, make sure that you're serving as the prime. You attend the government meetings, don't send your subcontractor, no matter how much of the work they're doing. The Corps knows you by name, they have your point of contact, and you're managing your contract and your contractors like a true leader. That's what you need to do to present yourself as a true prime. In step 5, the final step, is to build a payment compliance checklist. So once you invoice for whatever goods or service you provide to the government, make sure that you show how much you received as the prime and how much you gave your subcontractor. That way, if there's any audit, all this documentation is ready to present forward. Listen, I get it. You're ready for your next government contract award, whether it's your first or your 50th. But you have to understand, there are laws and regulations in place for a reason. And that reason is to protect you as a small business. The key to success isn't about finding a shortcut. It's about understanding the process and procedures so you can do things legally and effectively. Think about it. The government spends nearly $200 billion just for small businesses. That money is yours. The contractors who win aren't the ones who are bending the rules. It's the ones who learn the process, they build relationship with contracting officers, and they're there at industry days. All these things you can see on this channel. Stick with me. If you have any questions, I'm there for you. You just have to tap in and do things the legal way. You got this. Please hear me when I say this. I'm rooting for you. I want you to win every federal government contract that's due to you. The middleman play can be done legally or illegally. You decide how you want to perform. You take heed to the messages that I said today, and you'll be on the side of legal. If you choose any other route, you could be subject to fines, jail time, or debarment. You choose.